This is Rand Sarah for Dark Gaming 101, and this is the Epic Void Vault Top 5 Final Fantasy Edition. This top 5 is for the main series only. This does not include or compare to the sequels, standalone series, spin-offs, and Final Fantasy 11 and 14, since those are MMOs. Now, Final Fantasy has been around for about 27 years and has spawned 15 games in the series, with the up-and-coming Final Fantasy 15, which has a release date to be announced still. In my opinion, it has been an awesome RPG series all the way up to 10. With the exception of 11 and 14, because they are MMOs, the series has gone downhill. 12 was alright, but still decent. 13, on the other hand, that was not too good. It does not deserve to be called Final Fantasy at all. And now for my top 5. Coming in at number 5 is Final Fantasy 3. This, along with Final Fantasy 4 and 5, were never originally released outside of Japan. However, eventually in 2006, Final Fantasy 3 was remastered for the Nintendo 3DS and eventually released in the West. In the game, you are a member of 4 in the Warriors of Light. You travel around the world, defeat the darkness that threatens the land. This Final Fantasy made the list because it was the first game to actually feature summons. The summons here were Escape, which in the United States was Chocobo, Ison, who was Shiva, Spark, who was Rama, Hetra, who was Ifrit, Hyper, who was Titan, Castro, who was Odin, Leviath, who was Leviathan, and Bahamut, who was Bahamut. Coming in at number 4, Final Fantasy 9. This is one of those classic Queen wants power and does it by conquering the land scenario. Here you follow Zidane and his friends to bring down the evil tyrannical Queen Braun the 14th. This got number 4 spot because it did feature a way superior card game than Final Fantasy 8 did. It did bring back character classes, like the Black Mage, for example. It did have the classic Final Fantasy feel with modern graphics for the time period. Here we go, number 3. This was a given to make my list. The original Final Fantasy for the Famicom and NES. In here, you were a member of the Warriors of Light. You and your companions travel lands throughout time to find 4 crystals, and you defeat the evil-minded Garland. Final Fantasy was released in 1987, and it was originally released as a farewell to the gaming community. Square, they wanted to go out with a bang. It was never meant to be a series, but rather a final game. Not only did this bring Square into the spotlight in Japan, but it also introduced the US to what would become the true JRPG formula. It had become a huge hit and gave birth to one of the most epic video game series ever. Here we go, number 2. Been holding back on this one, but a lot of diehard American fans are going to hate that this is number 2 and not number 1. But this is my opinion and what the top 5 are. Number 2 is Final Fantasy VII. In Final Fantasy VII, you do follow Cloud and his rebel companions all over the planet, collecting crystals. Collecting these crystals that are kind of like hardened souls called materia. Here you try to stop the evil corporation Shinra from draining the planet's life force with its materia reactors. And while you uncover conspiracies on top of conspiracies leading up to the epic boss battle with Sephiroth. Final Fantasy VII made the list for several reasons. The first is the material upgrade system. With the upgrade system, you could add magic, elemental effects, enhancements, and summons to your character. Second was the epic 3D summon animations. Seeing this for the first time, man, it was just amazing. I mean, you know, being 16 and you see these 3D animations on the PlayStation for the original, you know, for the first time, man, it was just amazing. the the battle with the weapon side bosses, I can just remember just sitting there just weeks on end trying to fight the ruby weapon and him just killing me my whole party out in one hit. It did take me a year, and I did eventually was able to beat him. This had a real deep storyline, and it actually made you feel for the characters. And and number 4 here, chocobo breeding. Just trying to get that gold chocobo, it was so time consuming. I would just spend weeks on end just trying to get that chocobo. And you needed that to get one of the final summons. And finally here, my number 1 choice for top Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy IV. In Final Fantasy IV, you do follow Cecil and his party to prevent the evil sorcerer from destroying the world. And what else with, of course, crystals. This was the first Final Fantasy to feature the ATB system, Active Time Battle. It did allow you to switch between active and wait battle flow. This system was used in 5 more games in the series. For a 16-bit game, this featured a huge extremely plotline. You could easily spend 50 to 70 hours just playing this game. This entry in the series was so well received that it was eventually given the enhanced remake treatment and several ports. 17 years after its original release, it was given a sequel. Final Fantasy, to me, is just such an awesome series, and it was hard choosing 5 of the best since most of them are epic. I hope your favorite made the list. Please like, comment, and follow. This is Rance Terra for Dark Gaming 101, and it's time to game on.